It's the Bachelor lifestyle. It's the Bachelor lifestyle. We living it. Can I steal your thoughts in it? It's my first impression, bros. Beckner and Jason Stewart breaking down all the shows. It's the Bachelor on ABC with Chris Harrison. You crying in a little sent home. Now embarrassing, the most dramatic.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Bachelor Lifestyle from theballerlifestyle.com. Of course, my name is Brian Beckner. Thank you very much for joining us. Once again, we are balls deep in Bachelor in Paradise. And do we know when this ends? I don't know. I feel like they usually go around 10. This is 7. There's 3 more. This is something that you would think people that do a show based on another show would know. They would know the details of the show about which they do a show, but not us. That's not what we do here. I am joined now. Did I say my name is Brian Beckner? I am joined now, as always, by the very well lit, I might add, Jason Stewart. Jason, how are you, buddy?
Hello, everybody.
Hey, pal.
Hello there.
Hey.
Hello there.
Great white shark.
No.
Well,
the Bachelor in Paradise became Survivor, so I'm guessing we're.
Has it though? Has it?
Yes.
It's kind of better though. It's better than look. It's not as good as Bachelor in Paradise, where they're all getting sexual as hell by the pool, getting wasted and shit, and just being ridiculous. That's the better version. But whatever it's become now is a way better version than what it was at the beginning of the season. Although all those old people with their saggy leg skin are still lingering, which is upsetting. And sometimes they show them in the background, like trying to be cute with each other. And it's so disturbing.
They're getting picked off though. One by one, they're getting picked off
slowly.
And the poor schlep who has heart problems, those heart problems cost him a chance to stay with a woman that he's known for 48 hours. And
which one was that? Keith? Was that Keith?
No. Tip. What's his name? Tip or Kim? Kim Tap. Yeah. And Kim,
Tap.
after he got voted off, Kim made the mistake, or somehow they left it in the edit. I'm not sure what happened here. Some producer dropped the ball, but Kim said that he's going to try to continue the relationship with the woman that he's known for 48 hours when they get back to the States.
You can't do that. Everyone knows you can't.
It's against the rules.
It's completely against the rules. You either get engaged or you break up. Now, what is he sitting on a pension? Did he maybe make some money in real estate at some point? Like this, whoever his lady is might be wise to continue some type of a relationship with Kim, aka Tip or Tap, as you call him.
Mm-hmm. No, I get the feeling he's got some money.
Yeah.
But before we get into the episode, I just need to remind our listeners that this podcast is called A Great White Shark and a Sea of Bachelor Podcasts.
I was wondering if you were going to forget to do that, honestly. Because you kind of skipped it.
I mean, it's because we have teeth. We're not afraid to bite, and a lot of these other Bachelor podcasts, they're afraid to bite. Because they have someone to cater up to kiss up to, and we are not beholden to any powers. We could say it as it is.
That's right.
This show doesn't even have sponsors. That's how unbeholden we are to speaking the truth.
It's great. We're great. We do a great show.
It's the best kind of podcast that doesn't have any sponsors. Now,
right.
Let's pick it up kind of where we left off last time.
Okay. Where was that? At the beginning of this episode?
Yeah. So Kim tells the woman, Kim Tap, he tells the woman that he's known for 48 hours.
Faith? Is her name Faith?
Okay. Yep. I'll give that to you.
Yep.
And
all right. Kim and Faith.
He had a bit of a heart episode. Last episode, he had a heart thing. And the paramedics came and gave him a clean bill of health. And then this time he went and got his heart checked again. And I guess his resting heart is not great. And, but he's going to be fine. And they put some monitors on it. And this woman acts like her husband of 50 years is telling her that he might leave her. And she just starts bawling and crying. And he
crazy.
says it's going to be okay. I feel bad for these people. I really do, because they're just always afraid somebody with them is going to die.
Well, that's what happens when you get to a certain age.
Yes. Yeah. You'd think you'd be good with mortality at that age, right? You'd be like, you know.
Yeah. You'd expect it, but it's like the one eventuality that we kind of never get used to, right? Like, people die. It's always awful. No matter how many people die, it's always awful when it happens. And it's something that most people are pretty fearful of, despite the fact that when you die, you're literally the only person that doesn't know it happened.
Yeah.
So what are you so scared of? Let's not get too existential here, Jason. Let's keep it to the facts of The Bachelor.
Just like that video this week of the high-speed motorcycle rider. Video doesn't end well, but don't feel bad for that guy. He doesn't feel anything right now.
Wait, I didn't see it. What happened? Was this in LA?
I think it was. I think it was somewhere on the 101 freeway. Yeah, not a great ending. So anyhow,
decapitated. Some
Don't
bury the lead. Oh, you're fucking with the mic again. You're fucking with the mic, which the post-production software cleans up. And so people are like, why are you always talking about Jason fucking with the mic? I don't even hear it. Well, I hear it. And I'm concerned that people hear it. Are you done fucking with the mic, Jason?
Since I paid pretty good money for the post-production software, I usually just fuck with the mic, knowing that it'll get cleaned up.
It cost me like $20 a month for that post-production software. Auphonic. Cleans it up, though. Cleans it up in post.
That's why we got sponsors.
Yep.
So Leah and Jonathan had some unfinished
Leah. Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah. Now, Leah was told by somebody that Jonathan was like, I think we're just friends. And that's not good enough on Paradise. She wants a chance at love. So she had to sit down with Jonathan, even though she gave him the rose. She's like, so is this true? Or there's no chance for us? And Jonathan is just like, he's like this happy-go-lucky, kind of innocent, complete moron. And he just talks his way out of things. And somehow by the end of the conversation, he says, I want really nothing to do with you. But there's $500K on the line. So let's win. And she's like, fuck yeah. And they high-fived and that was it. So I guess enough for feelings in this one.
Makes it kind of a better show. Again, it's not like, because the brilliance of the original Bachelor in Paradise is that there was literally no prize. They were all competing for something, and that thing was love. Because how else are you going to find love unless you go to Tulum with a bunch of other influencers? Yeah. You get wasted. And that's the only way. There's no other. You take your shirt off, right? You're shirtless. You're wasted in Tulum with influencers, and cameras. Of course, there's cameras. There's boom mics. That's the only way to find love. And now apparently they've given up on that, and they're like, oh, let's make it a competition between couples who are not actually even couples. And at one point they did a Love Is Blind thing where they're like, behind this door could be anyone. And I'm like, that's a different show. They're totally stealing shit from other shows.
No, they gave up on any originality. Now, I will say this: this show is for $500,000. The old Bachelor in Paradise, it was a battle for who could walk away with the least STDs. That was what the battle was before. And we like that a lot better. Now, Wells and Hannah show up. Once Reality Steve joins us at the end of this season, as he typically does, and he starts giving us the inside dirt, what's been going off the air spoilers, traffic stuff. I want to say, what does Hannah Brown have over the production staff? Does she check a box? Do we have to have a female host collecting a check? Because she's got nothing to offer other than to walk up to the group with Wells and say, Jesse wants to meet you at a rendezvous. That's the key term for this episode, rendezvous. As we're going to do the next compatibility challenge, Brian.
Oh, nice. About time.
And the challenge goes like this. They all go to this circular, I don't know, condo, and they all stand in front of doors with iPads.
Yeah, it looks like the Coliseum where they would have gladiator fights. And you ever watch it? You ever see a gladiator movie, Tommy? Like they open the thing, and you don't know what's going to come out. Could be a lion, could be a guy with a lance, could be a whole bunch of guys with those like bondage helmets on, BDSM, could be anything. You don't know. In this case, it's Andrew, the NFL Europe guy, is actually behind the thing.
And I mean, for those that don't watch the show, and there's a good percentage of our listeners that just don't watch the show, Brian is speaking about this in like a formatic sense. It's a Coliseum, but I would say that the actual aesthetic of it, the look of it, looks more like the Great Western Forum. And I'm not talking about the forum in Rome. I'm talking about the Great Western Forum where Magic Johnson compelled females to have sex with people or they wouldn't be let behind the rope. That Great Western Forum.
Yes. Where at one point he had sex with 6 solid gold dancers in the sauna, to which I would say, it's so goddamn hot in a sauna. How could people have sex in there? It's like 120 degrees. Like you couldn't stay in there for very long. Those solid gold dancers couldn't have been into that at all. But Magic had needs. He had needs. But yes, that's a better analogy. The Great Western Forum.
Yeah. So everyone was kind of standing on their own. They couldn't see each other, and they put headphones on, and Jesse was in their ears, and he would just ask them questions. Favorite time of the day to have sex? What is your favorite role-playing game in bed?
Right.
How do you
basically the same game they played last week. They're playing the same game every week for $500,000. Go on. Sorry.
So the game is, in a nutshell, if I understood it correctly, they asked him like 15 questions, and the people that got the most amount correctly were compatible with each other. They would meet in the middle of the Coliseum, and Jesse says you have a chance when you meet in the middle, even if it's not the person you're coupled with, you can have a chance at a secret rendezvous later on that evening. And so, randoms like Andrew and way too skinny Alicia, they were compatible with these questions, but Andrew walks in and the first thing he says is, I'm way into Alex. Sorry, later. So they had a bunch of random pairings.
That's that chick that's Miss California. What's her name? Alicia?
Way too thin. She actually concerns me with how emaciated she is.
She is too thin, but she is one of your classic planted contestants. Like she's only there to stir shit up because she makes no connections. She's just there to try to pry away some horny influencer from his influencer girlfriend that he's had for 3 days. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem to be working.
Correct. She is coupled with the Ken doll. What's his name? I forget his name. Sean or something. But anyways.
Oh, Sean, the gay guy.
Yeah. He's definitely definitely has homosexual tendencies.
I agree.
Looks. Full-time 5 o'clock shadow. The last person that had that was George Michael, and he ended up being gay. So I'm gonna guess this guy's gay as well.
George Michael was beautiful, and what a voice. What a voice. Anybody that hasn't, I would suggest you watch the Netflix documentary about George Michael. It is fantastic. What an icon.
No, I have appreciated his catalog more as time has gone by. Like
Same.
I was a fan of the pop stuff, but it wasn't a huge fan. It was always a little bit below me because I was a K-rock listener.
And he was kind of prepackaged. That's what the documentary talks about, that he didn't want to be put in that box.
Correct. And then
or any box.
I've really enjoyed his catalog. I'll put on one of his albums and thoroughly enjoy it.
Waiting for the day. I celebrate his entire catalog, honestly.
Yeah. So as luck would have it, after all these compatibility questions, guess who wins the immunity? In other words, the couple that can't be voted off at the end of this episode is
it's Brooke and Jeremy, the old guy, the guy that's older than us.
No, wrong on both accounts. There's no first of all, there's no Brooke. There's no Brooke, and Jeremy's the one who no. So
Bailey, the fit bird with the fit body, and she's very attractive.
Jonathan and Leah wins the competition.
Who are not even a couple.
Yeah, they can't be voted off. So Jonathan is going to keep going. Yeah,
violating the spirit of bachelorism, where they're not there to find love. This is a love story, The Bachelor.
No.
And what are we watching? A competition show?
Leah is one of those short Asians that we all knew in high school. You know, we all know those short Asians.
Well, I'm from Costa Mesa, so I went to high school with a lot of Asians.
Jonathan is eye level with Leah. So when we said he's 5'5", I think we gave him way too much credit last week.
It's great because she's like, hey, I'm into you, and he's like, nah. And then she's like, oh, you're not into me? He's like, I'd have to say no. And then he's like, I guess I just didn't make any connections. Bro, you're 5'3", my man. Like, what are you doing? What world are we living in where Jonathan, who's got tattoos, much like Sam I discussed earlier, Jonathan looks like he walked into a tattoo shop and said, just give me tattoos. And then they're like, oh, you want the clock thing and the lion? And he's like, whatever, just tattoos. And they just put him on there. And then he thinks he's such a fucking high value man. Now I will agree. He's got an 8-pack of abs, which gay men love. Women, not so into that, but gay men love a set of abs. And so he's set up for the gay lifestyle if he wants to move in that direction. But if he wants to be with ladies, he needs to reassess his value as a male boyfriend type, because he's over assessed it to this point, in my opinion. But there's 5'3".
Leah has the understatement of the season when she's like, yeah, I realize Jonathan's just not emotionally available. To say the least, he's not emotionally available. And I think you just hit on it. I don't even think he's into women. So anyways, so they have immunity. Again, this becomes Survivor because whoever doesn't get immunity,
you need that immunity.
The other couples
you're at risk of going home.
Yeah. The other couples can vote off whoever they want. It's a majority, just like the end of Survivor, the immunity idol, or whatever the hell you want to call those things. But what we do find out in this, I guess in this game challenge, is that Bailey and Brian answered a lot of the same questions correctly. So Bailey and Brian have the chance to do a secret rendezvous. Now, this is when the episode actually gets interesting. So I will give the producers credit. It's been a really shitty ass season. It's been a drag.
A lot of goldens.
This time they have finally done the drama correctly. This was a compelling episode because it's a perfect combination.
It got kind of good.
Not so bright 20-somethings that want to be famous, combined with duplicity and people thinking they're smarter than they are. Brian has a plan. So since Brian was coupled up with Bailey in this game, he's like, I have a chance to meet with her secretly.
Yep.
So I can tell her all the shit that has been building up in this season. In other words, Jeremy called Susie at the airport, begged her to come back. Jeremy really regretted picking Bailey instead of Susie. And supposedly, Jeremy said something along the lines of, if Susie came back right now, I'd propose to her on the spot. That's a disputed part. But anyways, Brian finally chooses to use that chip.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell Bailey under the guise of she deserves better, and there's $500K on the line, and I could get rid of one of my biggest nemesis.
How disturbing is it when they, and look, this is a good wrinkle in the show. I have to agree. How disturbing is it when they flash back to the time that Jeremy, who it must be stated he was a senior when I was a freshman. Okay. That's how old this guy is. When Jeremy was calling Susie and she's like, I don't think they'll let me come back. It was right after they did that weird challenge where the dudes dressed like bird strippers. And so but they keep doing that shot of Brian's face overhearing the phone call, and he's made up like a drag queen and with feathers and like makeup on, and it's so upsetting.
It's kind of like Flock Seagulls meets Human League, meets like any random 80s goth band with a lot of makeup.
Yeah.
Dead
or Alive.
Yeah. So
Dead or Alive was a big makeup band. Do you remember Dead or Alive, Jason?
Of course I remember Dead or Alive.
Right.
You spin me right round, baby.
That's right. Yes, exactly.
And so Brian tries to spin Jeremy right round and get him off the island. So his plan is, I'm going to tell Bailey everything. And hopefully Bailey will be like, fuck this. We need to leave. But it kind of backfires. And again, I'm going to give the producers credit. For the first time all season, they did a good job of producing this up. They had the perfect contestants. Brian is a fucking idiot. So he did not pull this off well.
He is.
And it played out pretty good. So here's the deal. Brian asked Bailey to meet with him secretly. She stood him up out of loyalty to Jeremy. Bailey told Jeremy that Brian wanted to meet with her secretly.
Yeah.
So then there's the speculation that Brian wanted to be romantic.
Yeah.
Of course, Brian is paired off with Parisa. Brian finally spills to Parisa his plan that he's going to tell Bailey everything that Jeremy has said to him about the Susie thing. And most of the contestants know this, by the way, including Bailey's best friend on the island, Alex. Andrew's chick, Alex.
Were you stunned to learn that Alex, despite this being her second go round in the Bachelor world, and I get that she's from Canada, where it's like America, but like with an extra chromosome, it's just like it's America, but something's just kind of off about it. You can't really put your finger on it. She spells Alex Alexe.
Yeah, E. Yeah.
There's a fucking extra E on the end. What the fuck do you need that E for? It looks like Alexa. Alexi.
A weeks.
Yeah,
a weeks.
It doesn't look like Alex. Okay, go on.
Well, speaking of leaks, things were leaked all over about Bailey in this episode. And so here was the plan. Brian was going to tell Bailey. Bailey stood him up. Bailey told her boyfriend that Brian wanted to meet secretly. Jeremy's just kind of like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Brian tells Parisa, which means all the women are going to know now what happened. And So it kind of blows up in Brian's face, and it really kind of reaches a point of bro code versus bro versus like protecting a woman's feelings.
Yeah.
Most of the dudes on the show keep throwing bro code at him, and I'm gonna give Wells credit because I know you hate Wells.
Fuck Wells.
Yeah. But Wells actually sums this up pretty well. So it gets to the point where everyone's starting to get pissed off at Brian for selling out Jeremy. Long story short, Bailey goes into Jeremy. Brian tells Bailey everything. Bailey starts crying. She's upset. It sucks. And I will say this. Brian starts to like exaggerate some of the truths to make Jeremy look worse. And like I said, he actually said, Jeremy told me that if Susie came back on this island, I would propose to her right away. That's disputed. I don't know if he said that. Jeremy denies it.
Yeah.
So whatever Bailey heard from Brian was a much kind of slanted, worse version than it actually was. She goes in and wakes Jeremy up in bed and says, did you call Susie? You wanted Susie back in the game? And Jeremy, he admits to it, but then, and he keeps saying, this is my problem to fix. And I'll say this, and I don't know if you got the same impression. And again, this assumes that you watched the entire show, which is assuming a lot. I don't think Jeremy ever did a good job in explaining himself. No. I thought he fell far short of fixing things. He just kind of let things fester the entire time.
He
like
did. So I have a couple takeaways from this situation. First of all, this whole Brian and Bailey situation goes down. Not only the telling, so Brian tells Bailey, and then Bailey, with her fit body, is like, I'm leaving. I'm going home. She's crying in her room. Yep. She's walking on the beach. All the shit's happening. Everybody's around the pool discussing the situation ad nauseum. It's like back and forth. They're debating everything. Mm-hmm. The whole cast is there. The old people are there. Everyone's there. Where the fuck's Jeremy? The one guy that this concerns is gone for like half an hour of the episode. And I think and then he shows up later looking haggard with no shirt on. He's pretty jacked. I got to admit that. He's he's definitely on T because he's so goddamn old. I think they explained it by saying, he was taking a nap. Oh, Jeremy, been taking a nap this whole time. Mm-hmm. You mean to tell me that the whole cast is active and debating the biggest topic of the season? People are crying. They're leaving the show. And Jeremy is nowhere to be found? That struck me as a little sus, first of all. B, I love Jeremy's explanation because I don't know if you heard him, but he was like, well, I just knocked the table. He's like, yeah, I did that. But then he goes, but that was 8 days ago.
Yep.
Well, there's no comeback to that. That was 8 days ago, Jason.
8 days.
They've had 8 days to cement their relationship. Who does not fall in love and immediately decide to get married to somebody in 8 entire days? Like they should be on their second pregnancy by now. 8 days. He's like, that happened with Susie. I did call her back, but hear me out. That was 8 days ago.
8 days.
There's no coming back to that. It's an inarguable point. And then of course, what's her name? Bailey, the fit bird. She was like, okay, well, that's good enough for me. And they're back. Like it was such a non-drama. But I did like that everybody turned on Brian because Brian's a big piece of shit. And he did violate guy code. This is not, you got it. Bros before hoes. Jason, have you heard that before?
So bros before hoes, unless it's like a show that has the pretense of falling in love. So
Yes,
that's
yeah.
kind of that's the gray area here. So
But
so
in general, bros before hosts. But hold on.
Yeah.
Then you can make your point. Andrew kind of sums that up. He's like, look, dude, he's like, you kind of fucked him over. What you should have done is gone to him first and been like, yo,
Right.
this all went down. I think as a friend, it could poison the relationship. This is the right advice, by the way. This Andrew is very emotionally aware and intelligent. He lived in Europe. He does accents. He played ball. He should have been the Bachelor. I don't know. The man is gorgeous. He's gorgeous. He's fit as hell. And he's wise. He's smart. He's like, you should have gone to Jeremy, that older gentleman, first before you brought it to Bailey. And that's actually guy code and bros before hosts. You're, hey man, I'm looking out for you here. But I'm also looking out for Bailey, that fit bird that you're dating. You've been dating for 8 days since Susie left. Like maybe you bring that to her. So what were you going to say, Jason? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. And Brian does not have an answer for that. And the answer is obvious.
Brian's a piece of shit. Yeah.
The answer is obvious. I was hoping to use this as a strategy to get rid of these, my biggest nemesis, and we're playing for 500K, but like they can't admit that on camera. Now, you bring up a couple points. My super hot girlfriend Christina made the exact same,
by the way. Yeah.
Made the exact same point that you did. That it happened 8 days ago is a really funny line.
It's great.
I guess 8 days in Bachelor in Paradise is like probably 3.5 years in real life.
That's promise ring territory. 8 days. Call Neil Lane. Get Neil Lane in the fucking and the engagement ring selection out here. We've been dating 8 days.
Yep. And then she also brought up this point. Jeremy in this moment has a chance to really win some big points here. If he was to call everybody together, which they never do in the show because there's no drama when everybody's on the same page, but
you can never have both parties in a dispute in a discussion about the dispute. You have to go to them separately. It's the only way.
Yeah. But her point was, if Jeremy was to bring everybody in, say, let's stop the gossip right now because everybody's playing a telephone game and this thing's getting worse. I take responsibility. I should have told Bailey the day after I called Susie, it's unfair to her. I suck. This is on me. So let's now move forward and forget the drama. If he would have just said that, he would have scored points with the contestants. He would have scored points with the viewers. But instead, Jeremy is trying to have it both ways. Jeremy wants to try to be accountable for doing it, and he wants to bury Brian at the same time because Brian eventually goes to Jeremy and lies to him. And he's like, yeah, Bailey and I were sitting together talking about Parisa. And Bailey asked me, is there anything that I might regret on the rewatch, on the watch back? which is a complete lie. And I told her, there is something about Susie that you're probably going to regret when you watch it back. That was a totally made up line that he'll have to answer for at some point. But anyways, Jeremy could have like played a great card and he chose not to because he still wants to get Brian off the island here. Long story short, of all people that made the most sense on this whole thing, it's Wells comes in and he's like, this is the most ridiculous scenario. He says, he's like, Brian is getting shit on for the bro code, but Jeremy basically wanted Susie to come and replace Bailey, and Jeremy's the one who should be taking more accountability and getting more shit than he already is. Jeremy's skating here. So it's not a bro code thing. It's a Jeremy is lacking accountability. I'm going to give Wells credit. That was actually a pretty good line. He summed up the episode pretty well. It's wherever you come out. Are you a bro code guy? Or are you I need to let everybody know what all the details are so you don't get your heart broken guy,
Yeah, I mean, that's typical beta behavior from Wells. Of course, Wells isn't a bro code guy. He's the fucking bartender on The Bachelor. Like, he's there to support the ladies. He's a male feminist, which is the worst thing you can be. So I don't support Wells' line of thinking. Look, this Jeremy was keeping his options open. Everybody was. They're there to date lots of people. And he thought he threw it at Susie. He threw a Hail Mary. He thought he liked her better. But what happened?
8 days ago.
He spent 8 days. 8 days with Bailey, who is fit as hell.
Yep. So Brian, like I said, Brian talks to Jeremy, and Jeremy didn't let him loose. He's like, I think that's bullshit what you did, and I'm not good with this. All the guys give Brian shit for what he did. The women are kind of pissed at Brian for I guess the women were kind of pissed off because one of the things that Bailey is probably most concerned about is that all her girlfriends knew about this but didn't tell her. And especially Alex. And Alex was like, well, I was just going to wait for Jeremy to tell her because that's their business. So Bailey's really feels like she got stabbed in the back by her friends, and her friends are pissed off at Brian for dropping this whole thing. So anyways, we go to the rose ceremony, which is a weird rose ceremony. We know that Jonathan and Leah have immunity, but they still go through the exercise of giving each other roses. So all the couples give each other roses.
Do away with that because we're competing as couples. We still got to give it. Oh, I'm going to give up $500,000 and not give Jonathan a rose. Get the fuck out of here.
The only thing I can think of is that there's a legal issue. That Bachelor legal team said you need to have these people on camera asking if they will accept the rose, and that covers our ass. It has to be a liability thing. It just has to be.
Well, Jason, you of all people should know, because you like to maintain consistency, that it's not the whole show is about the roses. Like, that's the symbol of the show. So you kind of have to do something with roses at some point on the show, or you fully surrendered the Bachelor brand. So I get that they're just trying to keep it consistent, which I know can appreciate.
So it's a direct rip from Survivor. Now I haven't watched Survivor since probably Survivor 4 or 5. I have a buddy at work that has watched every season and still watches it.
Monty Bolaños?
No. My guy Dan Byer, I think,
Monty Bolaños ever ask about me?
Yep.
Dan Byer, the news guy.
I'll ask Monty if she'll ask about you.
Okay.
So I guess when I was watching Survivor, they all went up and wrote a name down that they wanted to eliminate. They showed the camera and then put it into whatever, right?
Yeah.
Basically, this is what happened with this fucking show. It's a direct rip from Survivor. They go up and they pick which person they want to eliminate. And the editorial choice by the producers was they showed a selection of people that wanted Brian off. They showed a selection of people who wanted the old people off. Keith and Kim, Keith and Tab.
See, I missed this whole thing. I think I might have missed it. I'll tell you why. Because it either happened while I was watching the Dodger bullpen blow another lead. This might have been when Andy Pajes was robbed of a 2-run home run that would have iced the game. I might have been looking at that. And also, I brought my computer over to the shower and I had it on the counter while I took a shower and was watching through like the frosted door and had my volume turned up real loud. So I missed the Survivor style voting situation. Yeah. So I'm glad I did, because it would have made me irate. I would have been yelling more, which people hate.
I have no idea why you would have it on in the shower. That shows your level of dedication, or it shows the level of indifference.
Because I waited till last night and I was like, I gotta watch this shit so I know what Jason's talking about. But despite the fact that I did watch it, I was also watching the Dodger game, and I was also taking a shower. So look, multitasker, Jason. This is the ADHD brain at work. We're doing 4 things at once over here, accomplishing 0.
Well, this is the first time that our listeners have found out that you're a night shower.
Not if they listen to the Baller Lifestyle.
Most of us alphas are morning showers.
Night showers.
Men shower in the morning.
No, it's all the. Oh, you're bringing all the dead skin cells into your bed? Not me.
Yes.
My bed is pristine. I take a shower at night, and so what it does, Jason, also is it warms your body so that your body can cool down and get to sleeping temperature. I would recommend to anybody the night shower. Take a night shower. Plus, I like to get it in at the gym. I still have my eligibility if you want to tell Jonesy about it. I like to get it in at the gym or go for a hike in the evening. And oftentimes I'm a bit, sweaty, and I don't want to get into bed like that. So I take a shower.
Yeah. Covino of Covino and Rich. He's a night
Former guest of the
shower.
show. Yeah.
He's a night showerer.
Yeah.
And that, you're in the minority. I'd say you're probably like an 18%er.
When are we going to sub for Covino and Rich? You and I. What? You're a Fox Sports Radio guy. How have you not got us a substituting position? I don't have to say F's and S's all the time just because I do it on a podcast. I can keep it clean. I can clean it up for radio.
No, I'll run it up the food chain. See what they say.
Yeah, see what they say.
So while you were night showering, watching something through shower mist.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they just ripped Survivor off. They didn't even apologize for it, and they just showed who people were voting off. Now it's a majority. A lot of people voted for Brian. A lot of people voted for old guys. At the end of the tally, Brian is saved. Brian and Parisa are saved.
Yeah.
All the drama for nothing because Tab or Kim had the very unlucky situation of having a heart problem, and all of the younger voters justified. They're like, we got to send him home to take care of his heart.
He showed weakness.
Yeah. We
got to show weakness.
Get home to your cardiologist in Washington State. So, Tab, Kim, and his lady that he's known for 48 hours,
Faith,
they're going home. And again, like I said, Kim made the mistake, and I'm not sure how they left it in the edit of saying that they're going to try to continue their romance when they get back. That's against the rules. But that's what they're going to try to do. So one less old couple moving forward. It's mostly youngings, and then Keith and that really old lady who's very sweet, by the way. I usually forward it when she's on screen. So.
Oh, she's the worst. That super old lady. Yeah. What is she? I don't know her name. Why is she still there? Keith seems like an all right dude, they're
very sweet people. They're very sweet people. It's just, it's a little rough on the eyes,
Yeah, if you're gonna get rid of the lady that fucked Prince, then you get rid of all the old people. Okay, it's disgusting. No one wants to see it. No one. And look. If they pull some bullshit and one of these olds wins the $500,000 at the end, there's going to be hell to pay. They're going to hear about it from the Bachelor Lifestyle podcast, right, Jason?
That's a good point. Point.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic work as always. Kept it under 45 minutes. You did a record last week, 35 minutes, which was great. For Jason Stewart, my name is Brian Beckner. This has been the Bachelor Lifestyle from theballerlifestyle.com. We will see you next time.
Later.
How embarrassing, the most dramatic ever. That's what we like. Play your cards right, you might end up on paradise. Here's the keys.